You remember on Rosh Hashanah I told you when I was writing my book, my first book so many decades ago, in the Cafe of Borders, and I wandered away from my computer, started roaming the stacks, wandered the section on business, on leadership, and came upon a book called Selling the Invisible and said, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I do. I sell the invisible. Immediately bought the book and understood my job description from then on. And I told you last week that in essence my entire life I've been in sales. And now, on this Kol Nidre, my final Kol Nidre as your senior rabbi, this is my best and final offering, part 2. Part 3 will be in May. And then it really will be the last and final offering. So this thing about selling the invisible, I've been wanting to tell you a secret. I might have let it slip a couple of times. I can't even quite remember, certainly not in such a public forum. And it's really, really important to me on this Yom Kippur, this day of vidui, of confession, that I come clean. And I tell you this secret right now because it explains so much of my life. And on Yom Kippur, we are asked to take off our mask, don't you dare, and to bare our souls. Yes, I dare. And here's the secret. I never really learned my multiplication tables. I really don't know what 8 times 6 is. Because you see, ever since I was a little girl, I dealt with the invisible. Anything that was exact, the squaring off, the multiplication, the knowing things to the absolute point, I couldn't do or wasn't much interested in doing. I preferred the fuzzy edges of reality. I would lay on my back as a young child, feeling the prickly grass of the Maryland hills, and watch the sunset. At the young age of maybe 7, even 8, and say to myself, what? What is up there? How is it possible that such beauty exists, that the leaf so green against the blue sky? But 7 times 7? And the truth is, as I was a daydreamer in school, as you can imagine, I wasn't really paying attention much to social cues. Not only was I not popular, but I wasn't very much liked. Was that you, perhaps? Or maybe one of your children? And as I was trying to wander my way through school, years and years in elementary school, 2 C's and the rest B's. Karen is not living up to her potential. Never say to a child, you are not living up to your potential. I started to develop this intuitive sense, the imaginative world. Then it occurred to me, as years went on, that I couldn't spell. I couldn't spell anything, way before spell checks. And so in order to be able to pass somehow, I developed a handwriting that was illegible. Really beautiful handwriting, totally illegible, because then you couldn't tell whether I could spell it or not. And even in my 3rd graduate degree, and my first degree was English, where I read a good 500 pages and wrote pages after page, I couldn't find anything in the dictionary. And it wasn't until years later I realized that I must have some kind of learning disability, dyslexia. They called it in the olden days. Today they call it something else. And I stand here today having been rejected from rabbinic school the first time because they weren't sure I could keep up with graduate program. Confessing. But you know what? Is to be who you are a sin at all? Why do I feel the need to confess my inadequacies? It's not the inadequacies of who we are. It's not the imperfections of who we are. It's not the differences of who we are that we confess now. And I learned to love the invisible. And I learned to develop X-ray vision so that I could look at you in the eye and see who you really were. I see who you really are. Because you're no different than I am. We are small, and we are afraid, and we are lonely, and we yearn for love. Oh my God, how much do we want to be loved? How much is it that we want to give our love? We want to be bold and brave and beautiful. Be bold, be brave, be beautiful. And on this Yom Kippur, this last and final offering I have for you, I ask you to look in every single direction of your life. Look with me in every direction of your life and discover the essence of who you are, because the world is waiting for you. First, look backwards. Who was that person yesterday? 2 years ago? 10 years ago? 30 years ago? Who were you? What happened to you? Who loved you and embraced you and told you you were perfect the way you are? Who kicked you and pushed you out and said, you can't come in. We don't play with girls like you. Who ignored you? Who didn't see you? Who embraced you and brought you in and sat next to you? Who was your best friend? Who was your worst enemy? You look backwards because your destiny unfolds not only by the places you are allowed to go, but the places that are denied you. Every failure, every disappointment, every single success has led you to this particular moment right now. And this moment, thank God for this moment. We are here, we are now. Be brave, be bold, be beautiful. And having looked backwards, on this Yom Kippur, this Kol Nidre, look ahead. Because looking ahead will define what it is that you are going to do, what you are able to do. Somehow, as that child, I learned to have a very distasteful reaction to the word no. Don't say no to me. You can say, well, we could do it this way or we could do that way. But never say no. Because as you're looking at your life ahead of you, see only possibility. See only hope. Take along with you that person with your cracks and your dings and your dangs, those places inside of you that hurt, those places that inside of you that yearn to be free. Take it with you and look down that path, because that is the path that beckons you to the next step of your life. And do not say no to the next step of your life. Say only yes. Face the future with hope and with optimism. Be bold. Be brave. Be beautiful. Imagine that anything is possible. I have X-ray vision, folks. I am telling you. I see you. Everything is possible. And even if it doesn't go according to your expectations, those places that you are allowed and those places that you are denied, that is how your destiny evolves. Look backwards. Look forwards. And look to your right and to your left. As we like to say up here, take an opportunity to develop your peripheral vision. Look to your right and look to your left. Some of you know each other and some of you don't, but let me tell you the truth of what's going on right here. We are a community. And if you really needed something, if you needed help, if you needed support, that person to your right and that person to your left has formed a sacred community. That's who we are. That's why we're here right now. We are not alone. We may be alone in our silent nighttime despair, but when we step through the doors of this sanctuary, we are no longer alone. The people here are here to help you. It is the meaning of community. Speak your truth. Be bold, be brave, be beautiful. Speak your truth to one another, and we will hold each other up. Look backwards, who have you been? Look forward, see what is absolutely possible, and look to your right and look to your left, because there you will find love. And above, look above. What is above you? You know, as adults, we only have 3 kinds of knowledge. One is, I know. The other is, I used to know. And the third is, I don't know. I know, 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. I used to know. That green stuff in a plant, photosynthesis. I don't know is everything else. And the reason why we squirm and don't seem to fit into our souls is because we do not like to. As a matter of fact, we are afraid to live in not knowing. But look above. Because religion isn't here to answer your questions. Religion here is to hold your questions with tender compassion. Those questions of the soul, why am I alive? Why is there suffering in this world? How do I find love? How do I self-actualize? How do I learn to forgive? Those questions of the intangibles, of the invisible, are held gently and compassionately in religion. We are people of questions, not of answers. Look backwards, look ahead, look up, and now let's look down beneath our feet. Long, long time ago, there was a man whose name was Moses, and he ran away from his essential self. He ran and he ran. He had everything. He was a prince of Egypt. But he saw the suffering of his people, and he killed the taskmaster. And he ran into the wilderness, and in this desert wilderness, he was lost. Have you ever been lost in the wilderness of some desert? And one day, one of his flock went wandering out, couldn't find him, and he started to walk around, and all of a sudden he found a bush that was ablaze. And out of the bush was a sound, and it said, Moshe, Moshe, Moses, Moses. And Moses answered the only thing that we can answer in this moment. Moses said, Hineni, I am here. And God said, take off your shoes, for the ground beneath your feet is holy. You walk on sacred ground. The ground beneath your feet is holy. And God called out to Moses, go and tell the people that you will let them out of Egypt. You will tell Pharaoh to let my people go. And Moses says, I can't. I am inadequate. I stutter. Moses, how dare I think that I need to confess the truth of who I am as if it is a sin? Moses' inadequacies are exactly what God needed. God said, I know who you are. I made you that way. I know who you are. God made you that way. I am coming to accept who I am. God made me this way. And as we look backwards in our lives, we carry with acceptance and compassion our past, and as we look forward, we do so with great hope. And as we look above us, we see that we are surrounded by holiness and goodness. And as we look to our right and to our left, we see that we are not alone, because every single person in this room is the same. We want love. Be bold. Be brave. Be beautiful. For you are beautiful, and the ground beneath your feet are holy. And this congregation has created a holy spectacle, no less and no more. Margot's playing a song right now. You know, I always like to talk as if I'm in a musical. I discovered this song many, many years ago. And when Cantor first came to BJBE, and we were in the old building in 901, I said, can we combine the sermon with the musical anthem? Can we make it one thing? And you know what she didn't say? She said yes. And back, I think it was our last service in 901, we sang this song, and tonight we bring it to you again tonight on this last Kol Nidre as your senior rabbi. Because I hold for you the truth of who you are. You are brave. Be bold. You are beautiful. And we surrender ourselves to something greater than ourselves. We want so badly to tether ourselves to something eternal, to something transcendent, and we have done that. It is this day, now and today, that we are going to say, yes, Hineni, I am here. The ground beneath my feet is holy. I stand in your presence, dear God, and there are angels all around. I will be here for you, one for the other. We will take us with us, the good, the imperfections. We will look towards the future with hope and with goodness. We believe that we are under a canopy of peace. We struggle with our faith. We know that we will go shoulder to shoulder into this future, and I am telling you right now, the ground beneath your feet is holy, so walk tenderly. Walk gently with love and compassion. Believe in yourself. Be bold. Be brave. You are beautiful.
sense God's presence, and I knew this was a place where love abounds. For this is a temple, the God we love abides here. Oh, we are standing in God's presence on holy ground. We are standing on holy ground, and I know there are angels all around. Let us praise God now, praise God anyhow, for we are standing in holy presence on holy ground. In God's presence, I know there is joy beyond all measure. And in this place, sweet peace of mind can still be found. For when we have a need, God is still the answer. Reach out and claim it, for we are standing on holy